Any question, please? If you have any, just indicate. Thank you, sir. Coming right over. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. And permit me to stand on existing protocols. All speakers here today have spoken exceedingly well. Papers well researched. But in all of this, I just kept listening to one thing. And I was only able to bring out one cogent point with due respect to everybody. And that cogent point is that infrastructure is a coefficient that affects all other variables when talking about economic development. We all agreed. All our discussants, the keynote speakers, everybody, they all were able to identify infrastructure as a main coefficient. And if you look at the main theme, African development, etc. You don't want to belong to a group when you are not ready to play according to the principles of that game. The way I look at Nigeria in the scheme of this block arrangement is that we are 20% ready. And if care is not taken, Nigeria will only become a dumping ground. And it will be worse than we have been dealing with. The endowment that we have been unable to actually put them to good use. You see, population, we have it here. But we are just unable as a country. And an average Nigerian would say Nigeria, instead of saying we Nigerians. We are always able, even sitting down in this hall, we are always able to point the fingers and say, this country is not moving forward. Who will move it? Us. We must have that mentality of an American. An average American believes this is my country. And the way he presents America, he presents it as my own. We do not yet have that. And that I want us to bring into the equation. It may not be the major coefficient, but believe me, in that simultaneous equation, you must recognize Nigeria as Nigerians. They must think Nigerian first. We are always easy to push everything to government. Government is not doing this, not doing that. Yeah, they are not doing anything, but we also should take ownership. In other words, we are not taking enough ownership of this thing called Nigeria as our own. I will then move quickly to some of the factors I like the scholars who have presented well-researched papers to also attend to. And that is the fact that Nigeria has its own theory. We have our own definition of what economic development is. And why I say this is that everything we want to do here is affected by politics. Scholars here should go and research, whether at PhD thesis or whatever. The politics of economics in economic development. Because politics affects virtually everything Nigeria is doing about trying to develop this country. We are too much of, is either Hausa or Yoruba. Even today, if you look at this country today, in terms of infrastructure, it is skewed. The quality of roads done in some areas are not the same as it is in other areas. At least this is my country and I've traveled a little bit within it. There was a road in the southwest here. Sorry, sir. Right. So my question, gentlemen, will be to these panelists and the keynote speakers. When are we developing our own homegrown policy about developing our economy? We are copying models that can't work for us. We have our own differences. We have our own challenges, and we must sit down as economists and develop our own. Thank you very much.
You didn't tell us your name.
My name is Yomi Adebanjo.
Thank you. So minus the comments, we'll just go straight to questions, please. Yes, I'll come over to you, sir. And it has to be brief because of time. Let's just go straight to the question we want to ask, and that will be good for us. Your name and the question, sir.
Yeah. My name is Biodun Julius, and I want to give kudos to all the speakers. They've really done justice to the topic. But I really want them to address the issue of fiscal federalism in getting this infrastructure that is deficient in Nigeria and getting it to the right place it's supposed to be. True fiscal federalism.
Just a second. Right, sir.
Okay. I'm Professor Godwin Dimaki, the chairman of the Academic Staff Union of University, Delta State, and immediate past chairman and Edo Delta State chapter. Now, in this presentation so far, all the presenters have academic foundation background, but I'm at loss where nothing is particularly mentioned about the increasingly posture of government in academic capitalism that is jeopardizing the growth and sustainability of public university system. How do I mean? Nothing about human capital infrastructural decadence arising from poor funding, neglect of government funding of public universities, and at the same time, the issue that is at stake at the front burner now, universities may still go back to strike. And it appears the scholars are not mindful of that. The question is that, how do we incorporate sustainability of this African free trade area to the adequate funding of Nigerian university system?
Thank you. It's noted. 3 issues raised respectively. Fiscal federalism, the issue of schools not factoring in.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, my name is Henry Foma. Yeah, the paper presenter in the course of his presentation, he made mention of Infraco. And I thought as part of the recommendation of the paper, we should have been told what is the federal government, doing about Infraco, because I know it's a special purpose vehicle that is being set up to address this infrastructure deficit in the country. So where are we today in terms of Infraco? And I thought that should have come out very strongly in your recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's the 5th person. I think after this, we should just hold thoughts.
Yes, my name is Dr. Babajide Martins. I think as a follow-up question to the last speaker, the gentleman there, I think it's imperative that we look at the private finance initiative in dealing with infrastructure. And like somebody had said, they need to look at physical federalism, because even in the developed world, it's part of the enormity of their development and availability of capital. Private finance initiative seems to be at the forefront of providing finance for infrastructure. So what are the things that are very important to do in terms of creating an enabling environment for private finance initiative in funding the deficit in infrastructure? I was looking forward to that being mentioned. I didn't think that was looked into vis-a-vis the tax regime and all those issues. The wealthy seems to pay less, whereas the people who don't have the ability to pay more seems to have to pay more. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you. We're done with that, Mr. Chairman, sir. Permit me. I think next session we'll just take it 1 or 2 questions. Mr. Chairman.
I will take some of the questions while the presenter will also take some. About developing our own system. There is no nation who is independent of other nations. You find out that even in America, American was once colonized by the British. And some of you realize that certain countries, like for instance, federalism is being practiced in America, Australia, India, Nigeria. But you find out that there are certain common features in the federalism, but each of these countries has their own peculiar nature and circumstance. We continue to do advocacy until when we get there and when we do get things right in this country. As regards true federalism, federalism is a system where component states come together to donate their powers, to work together in the common interest and have a central body. And have a central body where they all work together, where we have diverse situations, where we have different nations, different countries, and comprising a unit. For instance, in Nigeria, there are more than 300 dialects, 300 units, 300 nations. And it was the concept of the 4 fathers of the creation of this nation to have for all of us to come together in unity and progress for the interest and the progress of this of the country. But we realize that in the course of time, as a result of military interventions, most of the concept of federalism has been eroded, and the concept of unitary system of government has been placed. Even our constitution, having been given to us by the military, has some flavor of unitarianism in itself. For instance, where we have federalism, the component states are supposed to manage their resources and contribute a particular portion of it to the central purse. That is why we can say we have true federalism. The resources in each state are to be managed by the states, and there will be an agreed sum to be sent to the central purse. But that is not what is happening. And we realize the brouhaha that is coming up from the issue of VAT collection, the issue of resource control, the issue of, we continue, if democracy is allowed to foster, we continue to have it, and through constitutional amendment, we will get there. Then the issue of INFACO. I understand INFACO was established with a take-home grant of about 15 trillion naira, and it has not been launched. And the whole essence of INFACO is to ensure that, to take care of the infrastructural deficit we are experiencing. And with time, I think it will be able to address the deficit and to carry out the intent of government. On private finance initiatives, I think I will ask because the speaker dealt so much on the issue of bringing in private initiative, the issue of PPP. That is why he also suggested the use of SUSI and other means of getting funding for our infrastructure. So he can round up on that so that we can. Thank you, sir.
On private funding, like I said, I would say that I'm a member of Challenges of Stockbrokers. I know what we discuss, how we can deepen the capital market. But before you do that, there must be a willing buyer and a willing seller in arm's length transaction. If government is not forthcoming on the issue of bonds and whatever, like Lagos State is coming, there's no reason this one can tango. You understand what I'm saying? The government believes so much in Sukuk because of the Sharia compliant And you have to understand the dynamics and geopolitical, cultural issues in Nigeria. Like I said before, for me, if I want to do some of this private financing, I can float Lagos Ibadan Expressway Limited, float bonds, let have a company that will be running, they will maintain the road, they will construct the road, the money they make from there, they use it to pay dividend and to repair the roads and whatever. But that is not about private bank. That is what the Infraco is meant to achieve. But I can assure you, the last time I checked, this thing was only approved by the Federal Executive Council. But you know, there are a lot of details that have to, there must be an enabling environment, the enabling law, legal framework. There will be the constitution of those who participate, the CBN, SEC, and COCO. I think that's the state they are now. About infrastructure in Nigeria, like I said, since 2015, we never had this. So this government has done wonderfully well since 2015. The only constraint is the issue of internal financing, and that is causing this one. That is why the government is borrowing money every day to make sure that we satisfy the infrastructural deficit. But for me, from my own point of view, maybe I would have suggested maybe 50% equity, 50% borrowing or whatever. But like I tell you, it depends on the willing buyer and the willing seller. I can assure you that as far as that one is concerned, from my own point of view, I think we have left Egypt, although we have not yet reached Israel, but we have crossed the Red Sea. That's my submission. Thank you.